Keen Project Solutions, a modern engineering and construction firm, embracing technology, establishing industry-leading systems and processes, and delivering reliable results to our customers. At Keen, we are passionate about inspiring our team and our customers to achieve great things, offering the highest quality services as an industrial contractor to deliver turnkey projects. Our core beliefs drive us forward. Protect people, build relationships, drive innovation, and focus on end goals, bringing our customers' desired results to life. See how Keen can work for you at Think Different, ThinkKeen.com.
I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans.
And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field.
Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
My name is Joseph Hurst. I live in Ankeny, Iowa, and I'm a part of the PMBA program. I currently work as the Director of Sales at Stony Creek Hotels in Johnston, Iowa, and I chose the Iowa State MBA program because it just made perfect sense. About 2 years ago, I started this wonderful program, and I couldn't imagine not having done it. What has helped the most balance work, life, school, has been the people I'm in class with. It's great to go through questions, problems, study for tests, and it just makes the whole class so much easier. As a working professional thinking about doing an MBA program, I get night classes aren't everybody's dream. I get after a long day of work, you may not want to go do more, but it's worth it. You're going to learn a lot, not just from the professors in the program, but from the other students. They come from all walks of life. They are from different age groups. They're from different companies. They're from all kinds of different backgrounds. They've got all kinds of different stories. And after 2 years, I've made some of the best friends I've ever made, learned the most I've ever learned, and I can't imagine what we're going to do after we're done.
Chris Williams, Brent Blum, from the Wild Rose Casino Studio. It's Williams and Blum, presented by Mechdyne, on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.
What is up? Welcome to Williams and Blum. We are here on Sunday, March the 9th. The madness has begun.
They took an hour from us, too.
They did.
It's time!
Thank you, Aiden Wyatt. You know it's a big show when we bring in Aiden on the Sunday podcast. I said, hey, get out of bed. Jiminy Christmas. Welcome to the program. You can see I'm wearing my Mechdyne hat like that.
I like that. I got my Whiffles hat on.
Hey, I have Mechdyne.
Just a couple of guys.
I have Mechdyne merch for you. It's in my kitchen. I'll bring it over today.
I'm wearing that, Kansas City.
Got a Carhartt stocking cap. Got a couple different styles of hats. Maybe we could even donate one to Aiden so he can rep the greatest
he's
technology company in Iowa.
It would be an honor.
He's a part of the program.
He is a part of the program. We are, presented by Mechdyne. Heading to Kansas City in a few days, like many of you. Iowa State playing on Wednesday. No surprise. Wednesday, 11:30, and they will play Cincinnati or Central Florida for a chance to play BYU on Thursday. Women eliminated in the quarterfinals in a classic against Baylor. Women had a fun tournament, even despite the loss to Baylor. You had Addie Brown going off for 41. Addie was absolutely unstoppable in that quarterfinal game. I think they're in. We'll talk about the Iowa State men beating Kansas State, where that puts them on the seed line. A lot to get to today. So, other thing, Bloom, before we dive in, you guys cannot get enough clones. We've got our Big 12 tournament preview show coming up on Monday. That will be on the feed Monday. Nigel Dyson and Dylan Kuhn are going to have that for you guys, because I didn't want it to just be us.
No, so, and there was a great message board thread this week about people like, yeah, I really like the I really like the new guys show, meaning Nigel and Dylan's show better because it's more fresh. I'm like, good. That's what we do.
That's
We're old.
the whole point.
We're old now.
Yeah.
You've
Like,
heard our crap for too long.
We don't want this feed to just be us. Yeah. Like, we're trying to create the next era of Cyclone voices with Jeff and Grant and Nigel and Dylan. That's what we're trying to do. So this is great. You're not offending us.
Yeah, no, I was like, that is the coolest thing I've actually ever heard.
It makes me really happy to hear that. And at
yes,
the
we do
beginning,
appreciate when you, yeah.
Nobody ever likes shows when they start, too, for what it's worth. I've done this for 20 years. Every time we start a new show on any of the platforms, people think it sucks. You have to let it marinate and develop voices, and those guys are getting that. They're also a thing where it just takes time, where you have to study what you're doing long enough to get perspective. Jacqueline Cordova is a great example. When she started covering Big 12 wrestling, you're just kind of there, like we were in the mid 2000s with anything Iowa State.
When you were approaching Jason Whitlock at the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah. But now Jacqueline's like an expert on the beat because she's been around for 8 years. So like we're investing in these young personalities and we want you to support them. So Dylan and Nigel and Aiden will have your Big 12 tournament preview show on the feed Monday, and this will be more of a broad look at the league and everything going into Kansas City.
And I will say, as a certified ball knower, as I am, those two are elite basketball minds.
But don't blow up their egos too much.
I know they still use a bunch of weird phrases like skibbity and those. I don't quite get to all that stuff.
And that Dylan's got a hell of a head of hair.
He does.
I mean, it's unbelievable. That guy, unbelievable. So
you too, Nigel.
Yeah, you got great hair too, Nigel. We're heading into tournament week, but we did have I don't even know how to describe Saturday's win other than it was like boring in the best way. Like Kansas State, like I'm gonna get it out of the way. Like they were not that interested in.
They were so bad yesterday.
So like I don't know if you listen to me and Rob's post game, but it's just like. I'm going to give Iowa State a ton of credit, the way they came out, energy, rebounding, defended. I thought Curtis was awesome. Like, we need to see more of that Curtis in March if Iowa State's going to come close to reaching its ceiling. But, man, Kansas State was terrible. So I'm not going to overreact to anything from this game, other than the fact that Iowa State went on the road, traditionally a tough place to play, and handily beat a team that whooped them, a couple of months ago in Hilton Coliseum without Keshon Gilbert in the lineup. So I tip my hat to the Cyclones.
Yeah, those were my couple takeaways, and Deshaun Jackson was my number one takeaway, actually.
Yeah.
I thought he played as well as he has all year, which was tremendous to see. Right from the jump, he was active, and it wasn't just offensively. Everyone gets caught up, how many points is he making at the basket? What he did defensively was awesome. He did not let Gasson and Hawkins get comfortable at all. He was really active in pick-and-roll defense. If you look at Iowa State's growth defensively in the last 2 weeks, it's because of him. He's actually turned into a really nice pick-and-roll defender, and that has always been the concern with Iowa State. Why was Iowa State so good defensively last year, C-Dub, and what was different in the first 3 quarters of this year? I mean, Iowa State's still really good defensively, don't get me wrong. Was Rob Jones and Hassan Ward were elite at pick-and-roll defense.
Yep.
And Iowa State does not have an Hassan Ward on this team. They don't. There's a reason that guy will play in the NBA, by the way. I don't know if you've been keeping track, but
I haven't.
Hassan has been awesome in the G League. He's with the Celtics G League team right now, and he will get a call up at some point. Maybe not this year, but next year. He's been that good, and we always thought with Hassan, it's like that guy was bouncier than anybody.
That whole visa thing really screwed his college career.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, because he got such a late start that junior year.
Look at like Feb 1 on last year. He was tremendous, and he was great in the Big 12 tournament. So
they don't go to the Sweet 16 without him last year.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So Hassan was super, super bouncy defensively, and then obviously would dunk at the rim and all that good stuff. Deshaun really in the last couple of games has been as active as I've seen him on some of that stuff. And then Joshua's always been a really solid defender and gets a lot of steals, and I thought those two controlled things yesterday. And I don't think you've been able to say that since that Kansas game against Hunter Dickinson and Ames. And that's super encouraging. And yeah, the Keshon thing was, it was a story-ish in the morning, and then Iowa State put it to bed right away by just taking care of business. And, I think people looked for drama when there wasn't any there, and I think the team showed up and showed out.
Yeah. We'll just start there. The tweet he put out couldn't have been timed worse.
You got to work on timing a little bit, yeah.
Keshon's poor mind. He just puts out this rap lyric. I've done that before. I'll post like what song I'm listening to if it inspires me.
So what is this?
And people will go, "Whoa, somebody's transferring," and and then I think about it. And I go, "Oh shit, I hadn't even thought about that." So Keshon puts out some rap lyrics that don't read well if you have no idea they're rap lyrics.
Right after he had just been declared out.
Yeah. And then his profile bio says, "I'm gone." Well, I thought it had said that for like a year, because I've looked at it before and I'm like, what the hell is that from? But again, these people don't know. And I come onto our pregame show 30 minutes before the game, and the comment section is just absolute mass chaos at this point. So then Keshon, and he's there, like he's in street clothes, he's on the bench. It's not like he's left in Ames or anything like that.
Very engaged on the bench, by the way.
So, anyways, that's not a story. What is a story?
His health is a story. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that this is a deal where you have a guy who is resting up. I mean, what's weird is I think he, from what I understand, can play.
Like, doesn't feel right. That's a hard thing.
Yeah,
it's really.
This
hard.
is not you're ruled out. You didn't clear concussion protocol. You have a broken leg. It's nothing like that. From what it's like a pain tolerance, and depending on how you looked at that game yesterday, I could have made a strong argument that it didn't matter at all, and I could have also made an argument. And this is where I kind of land, is that it was a huge game, because I don't want to drop to that 4 seed, for one, in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And two,
I see
there's enough
saying, like before the game.
Yes.
Winning or losing. Yep.
There's enough negativity. Like it just didn't feel like Iowa State had any momentum at all. And now you do.
Yep.
And now, I think because you won that game, you could go and win your game on Wednesday, conceivably lose to BYU, and you don't feel terrible going into the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
Where if you lose that game, then your only win is against UCF, and then you get beat by BYU. It just feels different. So, again, I'm not overreacting to this, but it did matter, and now we have to assess the Keshon Gilbert situation heading into Kansas City.
I mean, it's absolutely a conversation. Aiden, apparently we have another development, Aiden in the background.
This one is not as important, but he deleted the tweet that says it was just lyrics. So we're just ignoring that anything ever happened.
Okay.
And he has retweeted this tweet.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's
can I read
feels
it?
good.
This is from @Iowa State Sport. This is I was dying laughing last night. I may have had a climbing kite and was giggling. Who is Nate Heisey?
As one does.
For the blind, he is light. For the hungry, he is bread. For the sick, he is the cure. For the lonely, he is company. For the sad, he is joy. For the prisoner, he is freedom. For the poor, he is treasure. For me, he is everything.
It sounds like ChatGPT wrote that, but
Keshon Gilbert retweeted that last night. So he's obviously not too disgruntled.
No, so here's my take. We've said Keshon is the heartbeat of this team, a very emotional guy. Like he wears his emotions on his sleeve. It's clear he is not real thrilled with how his last quarter of his senior year.
He's frustrated.
Yeah, because he's whether it's it's a health thing, he has not been as productive. I mean, just look at his numbers since the UCF game down there, and he hasn't looked right. I'm guessing for him, this is a huge time in his life, and he doesn't feel 100%. It's got to be frustrating. So I think this is where this is coming from. And so in his mind, he wants to feel like he did at the beginning of the season, which is totally 100% fresh. And I don't know if that's possible. And so it's kind of this balance of, I don't feel all the way right. With Iowa State said, yeah, but Keshon, your 80% is still really dang good. We'll figure it out. I thought it was huge, though, to that point of how great Nate Heise was again yesterday. He did a couple things. One, he's an awesome defender. Like you saw that. He locked up. I mean, he even got matched up with Hawkins at time and did an awesome job. And then he got the tee for it. I didn't care. I thought it was a highlight of the season. I really did.
We talk about these refs.
He bangs a three and does. Was it the three? Like, was it a finger?
I don't know, but did you see the photog out of like Kansas City who he posted his B-roll on Twitter of TJ and one of the refs talking about it? TJ was asking him, he's like, was he doing a gun or was he doing the three? And it was hilarious. Like Jeff from KCC, I retweeted it, which is why I saw it. That was the stupidest. I'm sorry, I'm about to cuss. Earmuffs if you're driving to Kansas. Stupidest fucking technical I've ever seen in my goddamn life. I was so pissed at that. What is wrong with these officials, Bloom? What is wrong with these people?
Okay.
What is their problem?
Here's the problem. Well, I will tell you what happened in that instance because I got some text from my ref buddies. I'm just telling you I did.
I'm sure Dennis is all
it wasn't from my dad. It wasn't from my it was other ref buddies. I literally had 3 different ref buddies say I would have done the same thing.
Oh, Jesus. You guys are all so soft.
It's not about being soft. Chris, he did it right in front of the official and the coach. And
it's Tang. Tang deserves it.
Plus, it's so here's why. And because it was so unexpected, it's like, what?
Will you just come let your boys live with me for a month? I need to toughen these kids up. Living in your house, they're going to be soft as shit. Okay?
I'm just saying, he did it right in front of the ref. You can't just...
Oh, he barely even... Like, these guys,
I know.
And then...
But it was Chris.
And then they got that Kansas State guy for the little table slap. Like, come on.
The problem is, it was so out of the norm,
right.
that it was like, what?
If Keshon does that, it's kind of like, oh.
Yeah, that's just Keshon. Right. I say that respectfully to all involved here. I thought it was great. I thought it was absolutely great because it was Nate to a T in the last month of like, you know what? Screw you, dude.
I'm
going to do my pistols in the middle of Tang's face.
In your defense, I had refs reach out to me and say the same thing because I was pretty hot.
Okay, here we go. The replay.
This is the video.
Like
Who's this? Is Jason
that was
Conander on Twitter.
Oh, okay. Conander. Yeah, the official was Edwin Young, who was just doing a second.
Well, and then that guy cheering on the official in the background is the one who cussed out our managers last year in front of me. Wait, it's the next shot where TJ's talking to the other ref about what did he actually do? It's this guy. TJ's like, which official. Signal?
Was it a 3? Was it a gun?
I just like, can you at least, would that have been a T in the NBA?
No.
Okay, this is my point.
You know what? Honestly,
everything is evolving in college athletics. Maybe that should be a T in the Atlantic Sun or the Summit League. In Big 12 basketball, when these guys are all making 6 figures, we've got to change the way we do this. Everybody needs to evolve here.
It was a bad confluence of errors because the guy it was only his second ever Big 12 game, the official.
Oh,
this was a super inexperienced ref.
Okay,
he's standing right in front of Tang, and I loved it. But Nate, don't turn around and stare right at the coach. Like
everybody hates Tang though. Yeah, it's like a real rivalry.
I get it. Which again, respect for that guy for the end of time for that.
I guarantee you, TJ was showing them UFC knockouts walking out to that thing.
And honestly, that moment is a highlight for me for the year because it was Tang. Like, do it again, Nate. Seriously, do it again. But that is why in that instance I was like, yeah, I mean, I get it. That's what I said to myself. I get it. I don't love it. I get it. But it turned the game. It turned around. I honestly think it was what Nate is behind the scenes. Everybody loves the guy, and for him to do that, it's like he's got his he's got the vibes back. The vibes are rolling with Nate Heise right now.
He's feeling the vibes.
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
And I thought he was just really good defensively. He was great on the glass. So Deshaun, Joshua, Nate. I mean, really, everybody that played, I thought Kate Kellerman gave some solid minutes again.
why is it that other than Tony Padilla, it seems no, I'm not even being a jerk. Like, give me how refs think. It does feel like the more inexperienced the crew, the more technicals are handed out. Is that because they have thin skin because they haven't been through the ring? Like, why is that? I
thought you saw it because there was two of the three yesterday were super, super inexperienced. Like, you knew that was going to be dicey when I saw those three names. To move up, this is 100% true. To move up in college basketball, you are judged by supervisors who generally like you to keep control of the game, generally. And when you're making a name for yourself, you don't make a name for yourself, honestly, by blending in. If you let some of that stuff go, there's people who supervise will go, hey.
So you think like Higgins would have graded them wrong by Heisey doing that and not throwing the tee?
I think you have a better chance of not getting noticed if you let some of that stuff go and it gets out of hand. Yes, I do.
What about the slap at the table from the Kansas State player?
To me, that was we got this one. We got to catch this one.
It felt like a makeup call.
I don't like the term makeup call, but it was if that happened on its own, I don't think that is a T. Okay. I think that was we're getting control of this game. This is the emote because it got a little chippy there for a little bit, right?
Those teams hate each other. Yeah, I don't know why we have to dance around. And then those programs hate each other.
Curtis and McDaniel got into it. That was very physical, and that's why I was proud of Iowa State for going in there and just not letting the Oklahoma State game happen or not letting the K-State game happen from back up in Ames. Or even the BYU game, Iowa State at times was not tough at all. Iowa State brought
Did Keshon deserve that T against BYU? Yes. Because that really changed the game. Like, if you think about it,
I think he was justified in his argument. Mm-hmm. But again, you cannot.
He just overreacted.
You can't overreact in the middle where everybody sees you. That's like you can react. Like if I gave if Nate would have said gave an MF under his breath or something, okay, outlandish gestures where everybody sees, not good.
That was so understated.
It was, but he stared and looked at him. Like, if he would have done the 3 thing but looked at the midcourt, he's fine. I'm telling you. It was the fact
You're
that
right.
it was
I'm
so...
just kidding, by the way. Your sons can stay at your house.
I appreciate that.
I'm not going to kidnap
but
them.
It was so...
You are... But this is why this is interesting, because you've been trained in all this, and most of us, 99% of us, our listeners, don't know this stuff. That's why it's good. Like, I'm genuinely interested.
Essentially, the moral of the story is Nate needs to work on his sellies. Is that what they call it, Aiden? Sellies? Celebrations?
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah.
Come on, Aiden, you're supposed to be the hip one here.
That's what he's got to. You got to make it a little more subtle, Nate. A little more subtlety.
It was great.
It was soft.
It's way fun when you're winning.
Oh yeah.
This is a conversation. I'd love to talk to Higgins about this. And this has to be a sport-wide thing, though. I truly believe this. We always talk about evolve or die, all this stuff. And college sports is evolving at a rate in which we've never seen before right now. Like right now, we are in the middle of it.
Yep.
And I firmly, like in high school and in middle school, if kids are doing that, tee their asses up. We're teaching at this point. Now you have guys like Caleb Love who... are being paid exorbitant amounts of money to
like $1 million
not pursue a professional career.
Millions,
Yeah, to stay here. I just think that we have to view it a little bit differently than intercollegiate athletics like we have in the past. And listen, I'm not going to kill them all because this is all in the middle of a transition. But, you got your Mark out there talking about, we want to be – they're going to sell basketball rights. TNT is supposedly going to – invest in basketball to replace the NBA. We gotta if you want to do fancy ass courts and we're gonna build this thing up. I just think you have to change it just a smidge. I'm not saying let them be out there mother effing each other. That is not my point. These tees, it just feels like this year has been quicker than normal.
Yeah, I think if that was an experienced officiating crew yesterday, he blows his whistle there and goes, Nate, stop it. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Or grabs him at the timeout and say, hey, congrats. A little more subtle next time, please. There are ways to go about that without making it such a spectacle.
You know that Nate's been waiting to do that, though.
Well, and then knowing the guys, they're going to have that thing on loop all week. just because it was tanging the whole thing. Like it was a fun highlight on a really solid performance for Iowa State.
Yeah,
and I thought those guys all just everybody that played C-Dub made a positive impact. Yeah.
My closing thoughts on post game, in case anybody didn't hear it, was that it was a non-sexy kind of boring game, which I think is what Iowa State needed. Like I think that this team needed something to just be easy and workmanlike. They made safer plays with the basketball. A lot of those turnovers were, Josh was a little bit, but that's just kind of him. If you're gonna have a big guy like that dribbling as much, I feel like that's just part of what you're dealing with. Taman had a few that I don't worry about with him on a normal basis, and maybe because Keshon wasn't handling the ball as much too. I think you have to factor that in. I would still trade having Keshon in his defense any day over not having Keshon, but it was a very productive day.
Yeah,
not one that I will overreact to, but a very productive day for the program.
Yeah, Kansas State was horrible, but Iowa State absolutely it was like the old Nebraska triple option. Like, we're going to win this game 28-7, and it's not going to be competitive.
It feels like the identity of pressure defense is coming back too.
Well, and that's where I was most bullish about this team is I think the second half against BYU, again, optimist, and that whole entire game against K-State, Iowa State got back to, hey, boring wins too. We don't need to be so flashy and doing all the hard stuff. Just make the easy play, guard your butts off, and rebound the ball. If you can. If you don't, BYU showed you will lose, but get back to being solid. Honestly, what Iowa State was the last couple of years. I think this team is more talented than last year. Iowa State did not have the highs and lows last year because they always guarded. And I think what we found in the last game and a half is boring can still get it done. And has to be what Iowa State leans on in March because you're not as skilled as the top 5 teams in the country. I say that respectfully. We're all trying to get Iowa State more skilled. But what we have seen is when you get scouted, there are still some limitations for Iowa State offensively. So you better do the other end really well. And I think Iowa State did exactly what they needed to on Saturday against K-State. Get Keshon back healthy. The Big 12 tournament's going to be super interesting to me. 4 games in 4 days is still really hard, especially for this Iowa State team. Does TJ honestly get a little more aggressive with his substitutions patterns like he did a couple of years ago? I think that's possible.
Well, that's why another reason you really want Gilbert out there.
Yeah, I just think to limit minutes. Exactly. Now, I say that, C-Dub, let's play a game. Guess the Big 12 tournament point spread odds.
We're going to need the
Can we get some sacks? Can
I pull up the bracket real quick?
Yeah, let's pull up the bracket.
I swear, I'm just pulling up the bracket on my phone. I tweeted it out earlier.
This is for the people can this is a participatory show.
The bracket's too small on my screen. I'm getting old.
So you're Houston's your 1 seed.
All right, I got it pulled up here. Well, Houston's the favorite to win.
Houston is the overwhelming favorite, yes.
Yeah, so I'll go plus 135.
No, they are minus 120.
No shit.
Yeah.
They're wow.
Yeah, negative odds.
Okay, the 2 seed is Texas Tech. Yeah, I mean they
have beat Houston
plus 350.
You're close. 4.
Okay.
Yep. Who's third?
Well, Kansas is a 6 seed. They're going to have to win 4 games. Iowa State's a 5 seed. They're going to have to win 4 games. BYU maybe would be my pick, but they're going to have to beat Iowa State and Hilton South. Arizona, and they would have to beat Kansas. And
right?
Iowa State's third.
You got it.
Are they really? I mean, that's the thing with BYU and Arizona. They have tough draws because they're going to have road games.
And they've never done it. They've never seen this before. They have those BYU and Arizona do not know what they're getting themselves into with South.
So if Tech is 400, what is Iowa State? 550, 600?
Right, yeah, 650.
650.
Yep.
And then 4 would be Arizona I would say, I think BYU's better than Arizona.
I do too, but Arizona is 850. And BYU,
I don't think Arizona is going.
BYU is 5th at 11-1, and Kansas is 6th at 13. Then it's a big drop off.
I mean, those are your value bets.
I don't understand the national lack of giving BYU any credit right now. I just
don't. If you had $10 play money, you want to win big this weekend. The bet is Kansas, BYU, or Iowa State, right?
Yeah, for sure. Kansas looked a lot better yesterday, by the way. I mean, Adams played great. Mayo made some shots. They're going to be motivated, I think.
That's a shitty draw for Arizona.
Totally.
And BYU, really, because they just got them double overtime. The scouting situation, they turned you over 29 times.
Yeah. Iowa State what I saw from BYU, and this is why, I say that. BYU's really hot right now. They don't handle pressure great, and they're going to run into somebody in the tournament that's going to really ramp them up, and I don't know if they can handle it. Hopefully that's Iowa State on Thursday. And again, Iowa State will be a double-digit favorite against in that opening round game. That's an 11:30
ESPN
on Wednesday.
or ESPN2 for that one. For
so
those
that's a
wondering.
national one. So that's a nice and early Wednesday morning.
Thursday would be 2.
Yes. So you're going to play the early games, which is,
Iowa State will not be on ESPN Plus again the rest of the season.
Oh my gosh! Breaking news.
Yep. Because all of Iowa State's games are in the window. That on Wednesday, 2 of those games are Plus games, and the other 2, so the Kansas, UCF, or Utah game. Shit, I didn't realize Oklahoma State. I thought it was UCF or Cincinnati. So Iowa State may have to play Oklahoma State.
Did they? I didn't even Did they end up winning last night?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Does that worry you at all?
No, that team is not good.
Actually, that could be a good scenario for Iowa State. Really, if you can't get up for that after what they did to you, then
that will go like yesterday did, where Iowa State's not going to let that happen again.
Actually, I bet you the coaching staff wants Oklahoma State to win that game.
I do.
From a focus standpoint and motivation, all that shit.
Yeah, and they don't. Oklahoma State still doesn't. I don't know what's going on with Cincinnati. By the way, he is perilously on the razor's edge right now. Old Wes Miller. They have tanked the last 2 weeks since they lost to Iowa State. It's almost like
I don't get him.
When Jizzle went off, that was it. They haven't done anything since then.
Yeah, I'd rather play Oklahoma State than have to mess with the Jizz.
I don't want the Jizz. I don't want the Jizzle. Yeah, I don't. That guy could literally single-handedly score 40.
Especially if Keshon would be out.
Right.
That would be a bad matchup.
Yeah, and they'll be favored. I mean, they just lost to him, but they will be favored on. That's a Tuesday start. That's crazy.
See, shit.
Yeah,
I have no idea what my.
This is what.
I forgot the tournament starts on Tuesday, so I got to get down. Okay, people don't care about my travel schedule.
No, they really don't. They really don't.
The Tuesday thing it's whack.
So speaking of odds, real quick, because again, this is a running theme here on the show. Can we fire up the sacks again? Odds to make the Final Four for the nation's best.
Okay.
You can do the first 2. Everybody knows. Actually, the first 4 are pretty easy now.
Can I pull up the top 25?
Yeah, please do.
Well, Bama with the hell of a win yesterday.
Huge win. Vaulted them in the So that's another. Okay.
So Bama was. Well, Auburn is the favorite. Or Auburn and Duke are the favorites.
Yep, they are still the favorites to make the Final Four at minus money.
Really, I don't like any bet with minus money to get to the Final Four. It's so hard to get to the Final Four.
You got to string 4 in a row.
Houston is the best value play, whatever they are.
They're 4th at plus 150.
I would play that. Is it Tennessee?
Tennessee is 6th.
Is it Bama?
Bama is 5th. Who's 4th? This team is sneaky, and Florida? They just destroyed.
Really?
Yeah, they're playing really well. So again, top 6. This is where it gets interesting, team. Top 6: Duke, Auburn, Florida, Houston, Alabama, Tennessee. Pretty logical. And I think those 6 are pretty comfortably your top 6 teams. Now, who is the 7th best odds to make the Final Four?
St. John's.
It's a 3-way tie. St. John's, Michigan State, and your Iowa State Cyclones.
The Iowa State University. That varsity basketball program at Iowa State.
So it has dropped. It has dropped in the last week again. Back down to 4-1. They got up as
apparently the odds makers didn't read Keshon's tweet.
They did not read his Twitter. It got to 250 was the plus 250 was it when Iowa State was second in the country. It was 250 to make the Final Four. Now they're 400. So, I mean, almost double on the wrong end. But in you know this, C-Dub, in those terms, it's a pretty small difference, 250 to 4.
Yeah.
So the point is, Iowa State still has some.
Where is Texas Tech? Can you give me them?
They are 6 to 1. 6 to 1.
Yeah, the number is what I was looking for.
Yeah. And so they are actually 9th.
Let me ask you about another team, just curious. Team I kind of like is Maryland. They got a shot?
Yeah, they're ramping up. So they are moving up quickly. They're now 9 to 1, so they have the 11th best odds.
Yeah, I kind of like that team.
And so let me go this direction, and Aiden, thank you for the sacks. The 2 seed, 3 seed debate. Iowa State, in my mind, is now in as a 3 seed. Like not even arguable that they.
Yeah, a bunch of people argued with me when I said that yesterday, and so an esteemed former member of the selection committee reached out to me.
Yep.
Can do your own guessing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was pointed out to me to remind fans that at this point in the season, it's not that the committee doesn't value conference tournaments. That's not the point. It's that you've already played 31 games. The overwhelming majority of the data is in, and it's hard to just change 31 games in 3 games because it's a season-long deal, and fans and media often overvalue games at the end of the year.
Or get emotional one way or another.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it was pointed out to me to remind fans of this.
Great. It's 10% of the formula. If you look at it, I mean, it's 3 games in a 30-game season.
Yeah, think of it like your financial portfolio.
It's 10%.
This is why you diversify.
Yes, and honestly, everybody lost yesterday.
You don't put it all in Bitcoin. Only 10%.
Only 10%. Everybody lost yesterday. That Iowa State, like Wisconsin's going the wrong way, which is great.
That was huge.
In my opinion.
Well, the top 10 streak's probably done, though, right?
Yeah, they'll probably drop because, again, Maryland might
is
sneak
what I
up
had
there.
them at.
I don't know. Although Arizona lost. Kentucky won, maybe. I don't. It's a mess. Honestly, after 7,
Clemson
it's a
will
mess.
jump Iowa State.
Clemson's the funny part. Yeah, and I like Clemson. They're
okay.
They are not even really
Clemson.
on the. They're not really even on the board to do anything. I mean, the ACC is super down. Duke is good. Okay, Duke's got a bunch of NBA guys. I'm not touching them in any capacity to win the whole thing.
Absolutely not.
They haven't.
Give me Auburn over them any day.
They haven't played a team with a pulse in a long time. The ACC is so bad. Again, I think Cooper Flagg's great. I take him #1 pick. I think the big guy's really good. I like their other wing. I just don't know if I'm going to trust them because they haven't played anybody in two months.
Brent, we need to thank some of our great sponsors here on your Williams and Blum Sunday. It is March the 9th. The madness has begun. And I want to thank, when madness hits your life, it'll sure be nice to have Colin Newell and Farm Bureau Financial Services backing you up. I know that happened to me last year when Aiden flooded my basement. I'm letting them stay with us for free.
Not true.
And took one call to Colin. They got me in line with Service Master. They had, they're here sucking the water. Colin even came and helped me move boxes. Colin,
he's tall.
Newell, Farm Bureau Financial Services, my man. I also like to thank my friends at Kelderman Manufacturing. Shout out to my boy Mark Steck, Jeff Kelderman, all the team over at Kelderman Manufacturing in Oskaloosa. My guess is that they will all be in Kansas City next week.
I had somebody reach out last night and said, hey, Is Kate Kelderman related?
I get that all the time.
And the answer is no.
Yeah.
The answer is no. That is not Jeff Kelderman's son. I mean, I love them both.
Cool.
It would be cool. No, Kate is now perhaps a relation. Perhaps again, I don't want to overspeak.
I don't believe so. I've asked. No, there's
maybe
no
some
relation.
cousin connection, like down the road from the olden times. But no, not a direct relation.
Thanks, our friend Andrew Chaplin. We call him Chappie. Hunziker, he is your real estate agent, preferred real estate agent of Cyclone Fanatic and Williams and Blum. Remember him? Weather is getting nicer. People are going to start thinking about popping around.
So Chappie did send me a text, and this is I'm going to put it out there because I like everybody involved here. He's looking for if there's any builders that listen to this podcast in Ames that are open to new builds in Ames to connect with him.
He'd be great.
There's a real need to develop some new housing units with a builder. So Andrew's great. Another way that we can connect Cyclones with Cyclones.
And our friends at Terraplex Ag as well. Ag drone technology is just continuing to grow and really change the way farming works. And I want you to remember our friends at Terraplex coming up. Planting season is just around the corner. Like literally, it's like a month from now. Maybe even sooner, depending on what the weather does. So remember our friends at Terraplex. We did have a listener who bought a drone from Terraplex like 2 weeks ago. I don't know who you are, sir, but thank you. And
thank you.
He made sure to tell them specifically he was purchasing because of his listening to the Williams and Blum podcast, which always makes my day. Last but certainly not least, our friends at Ames Lager and the West O Brewing up there in Okoboji. Go out and buy yourself a 6, a 12, a 24 of Ames Lager. When does the portal open?
Portal opens March 24th. March 24th. So 2 weeks, not much sleep on my end. We are about halfway to our $200,000 matching challenge at WeWillCollective.com. So we're halfway there, which is great. I did hear from one of the anonymous donors this week that if we can push past that $200,000 mark, they'd be willing to put some more in, depending on how March goes. So, FYI,
no pressure. How March goes, no pressure.
No pressure on anybody involved here. But no, so there is no. Unfortunately, we've tried. There is no Ames Lager in Kansas City. So, do yourself a boo. It's blame the state of Missouri. Get yourself a 6 or a 12 pack and bring it with you. If you don't mind.
Or just store it in the fridge. I always just buy one. Like, whenever I see one, I just buy one. Yeah, and that's why I have, I don't drink a lot of beer anymore, but that's what I serve, in the garage. That's what I serve to people.
We had some listeners bring some Ames Lager down to Kansas City last year. Remember that? We drank it in the lobby.
Yeah,
that's great.
Absolutely.
And look, and guess what happened after that? Who won the Big 12 tournament last year?
The Cyclones from Iowa State University.
And I guess the point is, guys, Iowa State is undefeated in Big 12 tournaments since Ames Lager was created. I mean, facts are facts.
And last, but I know I just said this, but we want to invite everybody to come and hang out with us on Wednesday. We're having a social, and this will happen win or lose. It will be. This is actually going to time out pretty well because when we planned this, we thought Iowa State would play on Thursday. They got to play on Wednesday now. This will be like a victory party. 3 to 5. The Power and Light districts are right across the street. Cyclone Fanatic, the We Will Collective, We Will Social. And this is at the old line. What is the place called now? Do you know?
Oh my gosh, it's on our website. I don't know. It's Brazo or it's okay. They turn it into like a
I know exactly where it is. Same place we were at last year.
A Latin cuisine place.
Yeah,
or something.
Same place we were at last year. And for what it's worth, the forecast for this day looks like 75 and beautiful.
And there is a patio at this place, guys.
Yeah. It's going to be
off. And I know so real quick on this, if you can, guys, get tickets in advance.
It helps Bloom's wife. That's the key.
It's just a pain. It's a pain in the rear to try and do this day of. Now you can't it just makes it really hard and stressful for. So if you wouldn't mind, it's just a simple digital donation is really what it is, and then we have you on a list. It's not that fancy, and we can take walk-ups probably, but it just makes it really hard. And I don't really want to deal with that egotistically, selfishly, all the above. So we've got about 100 tickets left, or 100 room for 100 more people. So thank you.
This will sell out. I guarantee you this sells out. Most people were just waiting for the bracket to see when they were going to come down. I know how Iowa State fans work.
Yeah.
This will be completely full. So this will be great.
$25.
Bloom and I will both be there. Come and hang out with us. Take some pictures, shake hands, do all that great stuff, and most importantly, just hang out with other Iowa State.
70 degrees after a win in Kansas City. Are you kidding me?
Baby. Yeah.
And by the way, that $25 ticket is actually a $50 contribution because it's getting doubled.
It's getting doubled. Mm-hmm. $25. You guys should raise that.
We've got to keep it going for everybody.
We are here for the common fan. Damn it.
That's right.
Okay. Whipple's hybrids, Big 12 segment. I feel like we've already kind of done this. I'm all in on this BYU train. I'm all in on keeping an eye on Kansas this week.
Yep, Kansas is sneaky.
I will say of all the games this weekend, Brent and when Iowa State's on the road and like my wife has to work, it's generally when I get to see the most action because I'm just around with the girls.
Yep.
And they're kind of my favorite weekends. Not that my wife's working and I don't see her. It's just I'm just sitting there, I can work. I can get a lot done because we're not running around doing stuff. And I was impressed with Texas Tech and their win. I didn't know what you get from Arizona State, and they're cooked. Like they completely
he gone.
Yeah, they had completely checked out. Baylor gives Houston a run for its money. Looked like they were gonna win that game there for a while. Houston's just so damn tough. I think this is his best chance. I honestly do. I think this is his best team. The analytics have sucked on this team dating back to like December.
Yeah, because they lost a couple head scratchers.
Yes, they're wrong. I'm telling, like, we have done a very good job this year of identifying where the analytics are wrong. BYU, I hope you guys have made a ton of money on them the last few weeks. We nailed the Kansas State run. Kansas State is cooked now. We called that. Telling you, Houston, they can shoot now. They probably have. They maybe win the national title last year. They're going to be in the title game probably if they don't have an injury. Keep an eye on this team when you're filling out your bracket.
Yeah, I think the way Cryer's playing right now,
telling you,
he's been awesome.
What don't they have?
They're not super deep. I have a little bit of problem at times with their ability to find a third scorer. Okay, it's Cryer, Sharp sometimes. Uzan, I think Uzan is an NBA guy when he wants to be. He doesn't always want to be though. And their bigs are really solid. I would hope that
he would in March.
Yeah, I think they're good. I think they're right there with Auburn and Duke. I do. I think it's a top three pretty clearly. They still,
but they don't. It doesn't get framed like that.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. They occasionally, and the issue with Houston is they play such a slow tempo. I think they're dead last in the country in tempo. By the way, that the game sometimes seems closer than it is. But yeah, I think this Houston team is clearly one of the best three teams in the country, and I like how I think their offense, the way they can shoot it, is different than in years past, where they would go cold in the NCAA tournament, they'd lose a game 60-55. I think this team should be able to weather some of those droughts a little bit more. And as you mentioned, Shed got hurt last year, and it changed the whole thing for them.
And it probably doesn't get talked about enough because we
forget about him.
Yeah. They had no chance once Sheb was out.
They're just kind of around. I mean, it's just one of those teams that's like, oh, yeah, Houston's good again.
They're just so tough.
They're just good.
That game last night, Baylor was on fire. Like, that place was, and they just kept, they were down 6, just keep.
It's
play a little bit like Iowa State does in the sense of, Iowa State will give up with, a 14-1 run, but they don't really change the way that they play. And those are the teams I like in March.
Honestly, Houston's basically Chick-fil-A. It's always consistent. You just know what you're going to get. Service is always really good. Effort's good.
Friendly.
Yeah. Friendly. Yeah. They're Chick-fil-A.
Kansas avoids going 500 in the Big 12 with that win. That was an impressive win too. Those are the two teams I thought that, not necessarily Houston because we all expected them to win that game, but Tech and Kansas I thought played the best yesterday.
Yeah, that was
of all these teams.
Super important for Kansas after their week. And then Dickinson was great. I
still don't trust him.
I don't trust him though. I'm not buying him. They don't. The bench is so shaky, and AJ Storr with a 0 piece again. Like what in the world? What in the world? That guy is just. They're not deep. I don't know. Could they make a run in KC? Absolutely. I think 4 games for them is gonna be really hard.
I would agree completely. Last conversation we will have here: the Iowa State women are in.
Yeah,
right?
although
are you
yes, they are
completely
in.
confident that
they are in. The keep an eye on it. This was not a great day for them yesterday because we're in the middle of women's tournament season. Kind of gets lost. Richmond, who is going to get in out of the A10, got stunned in the semifinal yesterday, and so that was a bid thief. We don't like those. We don't like bid thieves.
We don't need those.
And so somebody's going to get in from the A10 that wasn't planned on. Charlie Krem, who's the kind of the Joe Lenardi on ESPN, has Iowa State in the play-in game again. Now it's the most comfortable play-in spot, like the fourth of the 4, as in a good way. But I have a hard time thinking they're going to be in the play-in game. I really do. I think they're going to be in. But
my whole thing is at what point should they be rewarded for that non-con schedule that they attempted to play? Like, I don't know. Like, the problem is you didn't do anything with it. Like, you got kind of embarrassed. So it's like, but I don't know. Finley kind of pointed that out after the game against Baylor. The schedule we play, all that stuff. The problem is if you watch them, they're one of the best teams.
Oh my gosh!
But like the resume, the 1-10 thing doesn't necessarily stack up.
This is one of those rare things where, coaches and fans wonder why coaches don't want to play tough non-conference schedules. Iowa State women is exactly the reason why.
Yeah.
I think it made them a better team, no question about it. Like from that standpoint, absolutely. But if it disqualifies you from doing anything that matters to the fans, then why are you going to do it? Like, we do this to ourselves as fans because we're going to be disappointed. Oh, Iowa State didn't beat anybody. It's like, well, then they're not going to play anybody anymore. This is coaches are survivalists. They will do what they can to keep things going and stay like. And you're surviving always as a coach to the tournament, to what's next, and on and on and on. And I wouldn't schedule a schedule like that. Why would you? Why would you ever do that? If this could be the reason and you're penalized for it, and they're going to get in, I would not want to play them. I thought the officiating in the second half of the Baylor game was some of the most baffling I have seen, and super unfortunate with particularly the Sydney Harris getting called for a foul when she was in good position and got ripped down to the floor. And I think if that call goes differently, maybe the game does. I know Iowa State didn't play the best and let Baylor get big lead early. Like we've said all along, though, with Crooks and Brown, Iowa State's a scary 9 or a 10 seed. Super scary. Wouldn't want to see him in my bracket.
Brown with a Big
12
piece. Tournament record,
That's,
41.
I'm happy for
Iowa
her.
State, at least.
She is. I hope she starts getting some of the recognition. And Audie's a huge personality. I understand, but
I thought about
those two are a tandem now.
Eddie is senior year Melvin Edgem.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because Melvin never was the quote unquote guy, but he was probably the most
senior year. He was, but he wasn't. Yeah. But she's that as a sophomore.
Well, she's just so magnetic that she kind of not Audie's fault. Like, it's a good thing. This is why she's and awesome at what she does, but Addie's kind of just does her thing in the background and you forget about her, and that's why the coaches voted her second team, which is when you have 10 on the first team and Addie Brown's not one of the 10, that's a bad list.
Well, I was super happy for her, and then Audie was just incredible against Baylor, and it got to the point too where you were kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't at the end of that game, because you know where you have to put the ball. You got to get it to her. But the problem is, so does the other team. And Baylor made some adjustments and some bad turnovers down the stretch.
Yep. And then I would say, the takeaway for me is that Iowa State team is playing as well as it has. And I thought the commentators were really good and reminding everybody they got 4 sophomores at start still. And I know they've been around, and it feels like, oh my gosh, they've been around. It's still sophomores. Most of those, like the West Virginias, the TCUs, the Baylors, they're playing with fifth-year seniors, a lot of them. And now I'm looking at it for Iowa State, and you keep them all together, which is the goal. And again, we do have a women's basketball fund at WeWillCollective.com. It's clearly a couple of those players are going to be very coveted by some of the bigger programs. But then it's go get somebody, Go get somebody in the portal that can replace Emily Ryan and get to the rim and set things up. And that's emphasis number one for them. And it's competitive on the women's side as well, just being straight up. And that's a big priority. Their portal opens at the same time.
Well, we'll see you in Kansas City, brother.
I can't wait. 70 degrees. You guys, it's that first victory beverage Wednesday in the Power and Light when it's 70 degrees.
Come on, you're going to be drinking all day.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm I got to wait till noon at least. Isn't that the responsible thing to do?
No. Stop it. Who are you kidding here?
I'm not paying $15 per beer in
Bullshit,
in the
you
arena.
Will too. I guarantee you do.
I'll be responsible. It's Wednesday.
Those
a work
boys
day.
are going to be like, Daddy's drunk yelling at the referee.
Come on, Kip. Nate, do it again.
Oh God, it was so great. If anybody has a still photo of Heisey doing the gun shoot at Jerome Tang, I'll pay good money for that, and then I'll double it and give it to the We Will Collective.
I put it hanging right behind me here.
I will blow that thing up. Outstanding.
Hey, but Nate does have another year, by the way.
He's going to be a hell of a player. He's had what a great story.
It's a great
The fan base has left him for dead, and now he's one of your best players. It's a great story.
And Keshon's tweeting about him like he's a haiku.
Well, I didn't have haiku getting brought into the pod.
I don't know if that's accurate literature there, but that's what I'm thinking about. So
Haiku,
see everybody in Kansas City.
Haiku is the stupidest form of art that humans have ever created.
The Heisey haiku.
The haiku, isn't it like it's got to be an X amount of syllables?
Is it 575?
I don't know. It's really stupid though.
353 7.
And now I'm gonna get hate mail from some haiku enthusiast who listens. Love you all.
Cheers.
We'll see you in Kansas City. Cyclone Fanatic, we are presented as always by Mechdyne. Remember, Nigel and Dylan will have your Big 12 tournament preview show coming up on Monday. Later.